Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to AV Radio. So I'm Chris, and let me introduce my podcast again. Every video is a podcast to talk so many different types of topics about automations and some software solutions. And what is our pressure is to help all the people that will get the update information for the factory automations for all this stuff. This is also a special corner that Chris, will invite so many different areas of manufacturer or software vendor to have a collaboration to let them to talk about their solutions. And this time, I'm very happy that I invite a guys from CDP Technology, Jüri. So, hello, Jüri.
Hi.
Okay, could you just introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm Jüri Toomessoo, and I'm the CTO of CDP Technologies. And I've been working here for like 14 years.
Oh, 14 years.
Yes. My background before that was actually microchip design. So for 12 years before I joined this company and started this kind of control platform development. So that is short my background.
Okay, so before we start, I would like to just have a talk a little story that how can I meet Jüri. Actually, I don't remember or not, but actually, there's some time, I think 3 years before, 3 years before that, I create a video on LinkedIn or some stuff that we meet on LinkedIn. At that time, that you told me that hey, we have a solution that you can control the train the what I forgot the way to control some stuff. You told me please try it, and then I ping you that okay, so please show me your solution, and then that's I think this is the start point. I don't know if you remember or not.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. And that time I see your website. And I noticed a very interesting solution, and it's different, totally different between that I worked before. And I would like to tell the listener, I have a PLC background. Actually, I started to use Linux, I think 5 years before. Just even that time, I don't know how to type any commands before. And that's also my first time to see this type of solution that can run as cross-platform. It's not like just like Codis, because a few people in factory automation, when they talking about cross-platform, they talking about Codis. But CDP Studio also have a grateful technology, also have a very grateful cross-platform. So before that, could you introduce actually your company first, CDP Technology? What is this company, and what is the pressure, and what kind of products that you are making?
Yes, so the company, we actually, the software platform that we are developing and providing actually started a long time before the company was formed. And it grew out of necessity in actually building real-time distributed control systems for maritime solutions like cranes and winches and things like that. And it was actually initially part of a solution provider, this development. So they actually built solutions, control systems for cranes and winches and such, that were heave compensated. And but these are like, there are two very different tasks. One is to create solutions for customers, and the other is to actually develop the framework. So there are competing goals. So it was better to kind of spin out the core platform development out of the solutions, so they can be independent on their own. And then they started also sell this platform to other customers. And so this is basically now one of our products, this platform itself. We also have an IDE that goes along with the platform that makes the use easier for end users, because it used to be in the very beginning just C++ and XML and lots of PDF manuals how to develop. So it started as a C++ development environment for people who were able to actually write C++. But now it's more generic, and we have tried to reduce the threshold so that you don't actually have to know anything about C++ to develop control systems. So that is the kind of main goal. But there are other products also, like we now provide secure Linux for our customers. We have a dedicated version of the platform for purely HMI clients who don't want to do much on the control system or C++ side at all, but just want to attach better HMIs to their existing control systems.
Okay, so, okay. I think it's in your website that you
yes.
The CDP technology, they introduced a framework. It's called CDP framework. So I also have take a look inside that. They have some different core part. They have the runtime, they have the IDE, and also the HMI part. And so that's why, for example, the IDE part that you told me that you hide all the, you can hide all the difficult stuff. For example, you don't need to, even me, I can always see purpose, be honesty. But inside, you also have some graphic language you can support that no need to use the C purpose or something, right? Is it correct?
Yes, so this is part of this kind of shroud that we pull in front of people, because in the bottom, yes, there is like actually a QMake project and some configuration file and source files and all the libraries that so basically it is a pure software project in the background. But because our libraries allow people to actually build systems by just actually defining XML files from existing objects that they have created in the libraries. Then the IDE actually creates this layer of visual configuration language, which is very similar to block diagram. There are table views for the project structures or logic structures that you have also. And like built-in plotter, but you can also go into the code mode and look at the code and trace and step through the code if that is what you want to do. No. So it is like from end to end the platform for doing everything in one place, from HMI to connecting your I/O, writing new blocks, composing from the existing library of what we provide, just purely no code, writing nothing in code. So it's a end to end platform.
Okay, thank you. And I think I think you show me the actually what is it work in the next 20 minutes or something. So I will not go very deep on now. And okay, so you have the IDE. Then the IDE can program the block the diagram. Then also, if you can, you also program a C++ or Python or even Java or JavaScript. So many languages in my view, because I can program a little bit Python, I use your framework. You just like a magic box. I can choose what kind of magic that I can, what kind of stick that I want to use. Then I can create my application. For example, for some data logging application, maybe I prefer to use Python. But people use C++. It's up to me. Is there something like this, or the engineer can choose the tools what they want?
It is that, but it's a bit different than you described, in that sense that in our case we build this the runtime that people usually think that runs on some control device. We build this runtime for your application native, so you get a native binary. We have toolkits, you can download more, you can choose what you're targeting and build the runtime yourself.
Okay.
And then when you have built a runtime, which then can be configured basically to do what you want to do. Just you don't even have to kind of change the binary. You can just configure the behaviors kind of after the fact what it does. And this binary, this runtime that gets actually run on the target device has a public API. And the other languages come to play as we have clients that can connect to this real-time core, this runtime. And then you can write your own Python or JavaScript code that binds to values and updates values in the real-time core. So they are basically like a side modules. So all your I/O access that you do in the IDE, you drag into the no-code canvas and set up your Modbus and the I/Os that you read and write. That happens in the real-time core, in this runtime. And that runtime has the API to then pin your Python script or JavaScript or whatever you want, basically, and talk to this runtime and do additional things with the data that is available from there.
I mean it's separate to the real-time application part and the non-real-time. Is that something close to you separate in two parts, is that correct? Or for example, you told me that the real-time, the CDP, the primary, I would say, it will execute the real-time applications inside the runtime, and then you have something like interface to allow to use to API to provide the other user Python or JavaScript to access.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So that's what our UI does. So if you make a UI application, either a native UI application or a web UI application, which you do the same way, just dragging stuff in the designer, that also connects to the same API. And the IDE, when you connect to the running system in the IDE and see all the values and you can plot and do things, that uses the same API again into this runtime to look at the values and subscribe to value changes and set values and then traverse the structure. And same is available for the historic log data. It's in the same runtime API. There is also availability that you can access through that API and get the logged history of signals that have been logged.
Actually, I know the concept because actually this is my first time to understanding clearly what this concept. And this concept I think is totally different to the PLC or some. I think you also know PLC. PLC is a very closed system. Even they will not open the API in some way. Then they don't know. They will not know other third-party system to access their runtime. For example, to get the value or something, you can also tell them, hey, you can use the Modbus, you can use some protocol like this, but not like you cannot. For example, you cannot get the CPU loading time or memory using by just using API. You need to program inside the PLC and now I know there's a very open system that for the CDP Studio, for the CDP technology, and this is very surprise for me. Yeah. So could you ask me something that I think you also know that PLC have a close work in eco stuff in the work, and you know that our listener, I think it's more than half, they use PLC every day. They also playing it very well, but also very painful for that. Could you tell me a little bit? In my view, that CDP technology, they have an approach to use the PC-based control more than just use a PLC. Could you tell me a little bit more your thinking? Why we need to? It will be a future to shift from the PLC control to the PC-based control by use. Would you tell me what you're thinking about that?
Yes. So our approach is that we know that we are not a tool for everybody, for sure. And there are many PLC solutions where something like CDP would be complete overkill. Because first of all, we are mostly for like advanced distributed real-time control systems, which kind of is not for everyone, for sure. Because what you get when you use framework like us or like ours is that you get this seamless distribution across different architectures. You might have Linux industrial PCs, you might have Windows-based panels, and you can basically spread the system. We treat the system as a whole. It can be composed of multiple applications, like tens of applications in theory, in the network. and this is for us. This is one unit, and all the application on the back. Yes, on the background, it basically composes a whole, and they can interchange the data seamlessly between each other. So basically, from the developer perspective, this 10 different controllers is in one system for them, and they can connect the data as they see fit between these different applications. Which is very different from this PLC-based approach that, okay, I have a PLC and there is a task and it does this thing. And you usually don't think about it, okay, but I have tens of these and they intercommunicate between each other to achieve a goal. And this is the bigger goal is what I'm designing as a whole.
I get. So actually, you mean that it's not. So the question would be not just asking PC based or PLC based. Actually, CDP Technologies, this system, technology is designed for some advantage user. They would have some real applications and also can have one big control, one big system inside have so sub controller. You have their own tasks. They are all publish and subscribe all the device from each other in real time or even in non-real time, and then to control their own stuff. So it means this the core. I don't know it's core or not. The main concept of our CDP technology is doing some solution like this. Not all.
And the answer is no. And the answer is not always, because we have clients who just run a single controller. But they are then on this kind of edge of PLC usability when they see that, okay, I could do this with PLC, but then I need some third-party historian to store the fast real-time data for me, to have the logs. Then I need maybe a third-party anti-sway controller from another company because I need anti-sway, and that costs a bunch. And then maybe I need a PC next to the PLC to do something third. And then you are basically ballooning and complicating the system between different vendors. Instead of something like ours, where you have one solution that actually can flex, and you can use open source code, third-party code, and you can expand the capability of the framework yourself to fit the needs that you have. So you can achieve your goals maybe in the end in a more easier, and you have a better overview of what you have and how it works, because it's integrated into still one system and one umbrella.
One umbrella. I like this work. Okay, so I know that your system, the main core or the thinking. And before we continue to the next topic, so could you tell me some real applications using the CDP technology? I know, because I need to tell the Japanese listener that I present CDP technology for a presentation before. I think it's 1 or 2 years before, and I know they have doing some very complex real application. It's very trustable technology. So could you actually explain what kind of real application that is using CDP technology?
Yes. So as I stated earlier, we grew out from a solution company, and when I started, the whole company was maybe 10-15 people in total.
Really?
Yes. And now the solution part of the company is probably like 100 people.
100 people.
I would guess. I might be wrong, but that's about the order of magnitude, I think. And they build these ship deck equipment, different kinds, like ship cranes, moon pool systems, Larses, winches, gangways. The last products now that they are doing are pure electric cranes and gangways. So, and these are heave compensated, because when you're on a ship and the ship is going to service a windmill somewhere and needs to do a person transfer from the ship deck to the windmill, and there are like harsh sea conditions, then when you put out the gangway tip onto the rail on the windmill. You need to compensate the movement of for the sea, so the tip would stay in place. So these are like this fast, real-time heave compensated in multiple access control systems that they develop using our platform. And same for cranes. And what about like ship-to-ship transfer? Then you need to kind of lift over a positioning unit to the other ship, because then you have two ships to kind of compensate for.
Okay, so you mean the main unitime maritime area that is using the CDP technology in the different types of ship applications. And could you tell which country that is using your application is the main customer? Just country is okay.
I think our biggest customers are in Norway, but we have customers in all of Europe.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot to tell all this in CDP Technology is the Norway company, but this guy is not in Norway.
Yes.
Where are you now?
Yes. Yeah, I'm in Estonia. So we have a development hub in Estonia that was established 14 years ago when I started. So I was one of the part of the establishing group of people. But we also have multiple offices in Norway. So we are a few people, but we are spread across many different locations.
I know that your main or all your main equipment, testing equipment, is in your office now, right? It's not in Norway, is it correct?
We are like 50-50. Half of the employees are in Estonia and half are in Norway.
I get it. Okay, thank you. And I also would like to visit him, but it's not easy to go to his country. I don't get to find a chance to go there. Yeah. Okay. So we know that what is the CDP technology. Then we know the background and the main core. We know that there's a main customer that is using that. So okay. So the next question is I would like to bring Jüri to bring us to go inside the CDP works. And I know, as I mentioned before, you have the IDE, you have the runtime, you have the touch panel, and also you have a part called, actually, so a new part that I see in last week is called CDP Linux. What is that?
So this again grew out from the parent company need, because and also from feedback from customers, because if you go to the regular PLC users and tell them, okay, there is like this awesome development platform, and you can basically, there's no code, and you can make control systems, and it's really easy, and they look at it and agree, okay, it's really easy, but then they tell you that the most difficult part was to actually get the Linux properly set up on the industrial PC.
I know the feeling.
Yes, it's not the framework, it's not the platform, it's not the complexity of programming, it's actually installing Linux properly on a industrial PC.
I know the feeling.
And when I mean properly is in this like last couple of years, the security demands for these kinds of, at least marine systems, have gone up quite a bit. So the installation actually needs to be secure. There is so many things you actually need to set up correctly to have a secure Linux system. And this is a complex task. So what we have done is we have made our own Linux distro, basically, that makes this process of setting up a Linux controller that is secure, with like firewalls, with all the necessary things opened up that need to be opened up for the system, and everything else closed down, bit easier for people. So there is a like graphical installer and graphical configuration user interface, even web-based graphical configuration user interface that you can enable, that allows you to actually set up and configure the controller and install the image. Because that is the hardest step.
So you mean the background is because the maritime, they need to have a more security OS that's run to running on their ship or on their ship. So that's why CDP technology they developed the Linux CDP Linux is based on Yocto. I think it's Yocto, right? I see your.
Yes, it is. It's Yocto Linux. Yes.
So, but for this OS, I would say because I can see, I also see your website that it's very easy to use in industry configurations or is combined OS image. Is it free or need to charge?
If only. Yes, because actually it's currently only for customers and it's not free because as it turns out, it's actually quite a lot of work to maintain a Linux distro and apply the security patches and do updates and make it easy. So sadly, no, it's not free.
So because I also using Linux for some HPC, for example, in my home lab, I have a Moxa, I have Phoenix Contact. They also have their own. Actually, what is the difference between, for example, if I use your CDP Linux OS or just like a pure Ubuntu or Red Hat? What is different between I choose your OS?
I guess the difference is that we have tried to make the setup process as simple as possible for the end user. So you have very clear choices with descriptions of what are the consequences of the choices. So when you go through this list on installation, what you're enabling and what you're not, and there is also a lot of automation for specifically our tools and our platform that will automatically, we can generate this security configuration, what needs to be open and for the system to actually work. So we automate part of the process to run our systems on the Linux better.
So if I use a pure Ubuntu or something, I need to do all these terrible stuff by myself. Is it correct?
Yes, set up the firewalls and USB card, up armor. Like there is so many things that you have to get right, and you might forget some of those if you don't do this daily. That is the main problem. It's just like even knowing that you have to do it. Maybe for some people, if you come from you haven't used Linux much. I'm sure people will forget to do some things and leave some holes in the envelope.
So it means that, for example, if I am a manufacturer is in the marina, for building the marina or something, so it still means if I use the OS that I can fit in the minimum standards of IEC 62443 something is the main.
Yes, we actually, if you that is the idea, yes. And we actually in our security data sheet we have a manual. We actually list all the things that you have to account for to meet the minimum level 1 requirements.
I also see this before. They all with the old IEC standard. Why you need to do this because of you do this because of this. I never see this list for other manufacturers before.
Yes, this was a lot of work to actually put together. So it's actually in our documentation, and it's worth something, even if it's not for your purposes. Just having a checklist of what you need to actually do and think about is worth quite a bit.
So it means that for the marina, for example, board ship, actually before you deliver your ship to the customer or something, actually you need to provide a checklist, something for that to prove your system is in security. Is it correct?
Actually, there is a security review. There is a very likely DNV in Norway will go through the system and ask lots of complicated questions to make sure that it is secure.
So if we use the CDP Linux, at least we can decrease up. No need so many painful things like this. All this stuff is pre-installed, it's pre-config. Is it correct?
Basically you can configure and change it yourself, of course. But the checklist is there to go through and choose how you want to set up your system and what you want to enable and what you want to disable, what you need and what you don't need. You might not need, for example, HMIs. You might not need screens, so you might disable those, not configure at all. And then the idea is that basically then you can save the configuration that you do for the controller on the same USB stick where the installer is, and then you can plug it into the next controller and just headlessly install it with the way you configured it for the first one. So you can repeat the configuration afterwards without you doing anything. So you can have repeat configurations of it.
This is great because actually I also tried just upgrade a HPC from one version to a new version. I spent more than half day to do that. I very painful.
Yeah, it did work.
Yeah, and here it did prepare OS for you, and it works in a security standard, and all don't need to have so painful or something. That's very great. So and then okay, so I know the CDP Linux because I see your website have a new item for CDP Linux. I would like to ask you now. And okay, so I think for the Linux part is okay. So will you tell me a little bit more about your runtime? Okay, so if I have a Linux PC, I can run the CDP Studio. Okay, what kind of platform that your runtime can execute or can put on your pen put your pen on the system? What kind of
Yes, so like in very simple terms, it's Linux-based controllers, both ARM and x86 architectures, and Windows machines x86. So for those we have toolkits, and this is important because we do build the binaries for the application. Cross-build them actually. If you're on a Windows PC with the IDE and you want to use a Raspberry Pi or some Linux ARM controller or some Linux x86 controller, then we cross-compile the binary for that specific target, so you get the correct runtime for the targeted architecture that you want to deploy on.
But a question, for example, if I actually I used your platform before. So for example, if I know it's not 100% compatible. For example, I create a applications is used a Raspberry Pi before. So because if I would like to change the hardware to other tube or hardware. So it means did I need to do some modification in my program, or I can just change the tube kit?
You can just change the toolkit. So basically, when you have a system, you have a list of applications. Each applications has selected the toolkit that it should use for deployment. You can just switch to some other toolkit, and the same application will be built for different hardware and deployed to a different target, and it will run there. So you could go from running your application on Windows for testing, and then change the toolkit to Linux x86 and run it on some server, or change it to a Raspberry Pi toolkit and run it on a Raspberry Pi. The application doesn't change. The configuration of the application doesn't change.
Oh.
The toolkit builds a different binary.
Before that, I would like to say that I think this is very, very fantastic. Why? Because I'll be honest to say, I use Codis. Actually, I like Codis, and also I hate Codis because when I cross from one hardware to other hardware, actually in some time I need to face more than 100 errors just because I shift the platform. I shift from one hardware to one hardware platform to other hardware platform. Sometimes I think that is it really cross-platform or something? Because I know CDP Studio, I know CDP Technology. I know that when I can just change the toolkits that's provided by CDP Technology. Actually, you can download it. In the IDE and just make a checklist for what kind of toolkits that you need to download. Then you can just set it up, and then you can just change your binary. But you compile your binary that is fit to your toolkit. You no need to change a program, you don't need to care the libraries work or not or something. I think it's very grateful for me. I don't need to.
Yeah, it is really good for a developer not to worry about where this software will run, because the truth is that often, at least in most of our client cases, they start the project before they have the hardware. So they will always run the system locally before. For sure, you don't want to change the program when you get the hardware. It might be like fully developed by the time. In some cases, our parent company has done project where they have built both the physics simulator and the control system in parallel, running tests without a hardware in the loop. And then as the hardware comes, they connect it into the loop. And the system is completed before the hardware is actually available to install the control system on. And then you just install it to a different target and it works.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's what you want. That's what you want.
Yeah, that's actually what I think is the real hardware and hardware independent. Because now all the platforms know that the factory automations work. They said our platform, they said their platform is hardware independent, but I would say no. But if you want to ask them, some people ask me when they ask me, told me that their platform is hardware independent. I told them, actually, really, I told them, please go to CDP Technology to download their runtime, to try it runtime. They are real hardware independent. You can change even from Windows to Linux. No need to change the program, nothing. Because I favorite like their system like this, yeah. And okay, so before that, I would like to tell about the toolkit. Toolkit is my work. It's just a tools to allow you to, depends on the target, then CDP Technology will provide the tools for you to combine the project to the primary file that to fix to hardware. So for example, I don't know I can say in here, I think they favor like Wago. They have 2 or 3 types of different toolkits for Wago. And they have CC100, and they have I think they have the PFC series for the first generation and second generations. They can run their runtime on Wago perfectly, and they can access the IOs. I think this. I don't believe, and even I know some guys in Wago Japan, they don't know that they know a company. They access their bus, but not by using cookies. Could you tell me a bit about that?
Yes. Well, what can I say? We do have really good cooperation with Vago Norway. They actually do test our new toolkits also. So, and because they are very good at creating new hardware and new toolkit versions, and it is work to keep up. So we are actually currently in a release cycle. The new version is coming up actually in a couple of weeks. And we found out that the newest image that Vago released doesn't work because they have like made a new image and that it's completely new. And we need to create a new toolkit for the new image. It's so different. But the upside is that we have really good close cooperation with Vago. So and also other vendors. We are also working, for example, very closely now with Weidmuller to support their new Linux controllers and their I/O also natively. So you could deploy the application into a Weidmuller new controller and we could access the I/O locally on the controller.
This is also why sometimes I think because I know that the CDP technology, their runtime, they will support for the viewers, they will support Modbus, they will support CAN, I think they will support OPC, they will support MQTT, even that. I know that I will not say this a weakness. I will just say they will not support, for example, EtherCAT or Ethernet IP or BooleanNet in their runtime. In my view, because their hardware, their runtime can access the hardware directly. Maybe that's the reason that I would say they make some they will not use the rewire very frequently or something. They will just try to, I would say, to make one system that to get the, for example, use Wago, I can directly access the I/O in their bus. So it means that I no need to use any field bus or something. I don't maybe is it the reason that why I don't know.
There are good uses of field buses when you do have existing PLCs that you want to integrate. Then either Modbus or OPS-UA is a good solution. If, for example, for those who only want to maybe freshen up the UI, they want a cool-looking modern UI, they want to do their own themes or whatever, then this is a pretty good fit. They have a system that works, they just want to UI refresher. And then the field bus is like unescapable.
Okay, I get it. And they also support CAN bus and REST API. They also support modern API like REST API or HTTP requests. The REST API. They will support this type of modern protocols. And I think that's also enough for me. But I don't know, maybe for some customer, they will always explain. They always ask, hey, why you don't have Ethernet IP? Why you don't have something? They always say like this, yeah. Despite, I think that, but for me, they will not just have. Why I think I will have collaborations with CDP Technology is not because just like this. They also have so many grateful stuff I would like to explain here. For example, for the deploy, I use before I also have a big system that has so many controllers. What I need to do that, I need to connect to each controller. I need to download it every time. I have before I make it with a customer, I don't know, 5 or 6 years before, is a plan. They have a 20 controller. I need to download 20 times. But CDP Studio is a very great functions. They allow you to deploy the system that you like. I would say they can still scan all the system, all the CD runtime in their network, and then you can choose which system they would like to download. Then you can, for this system, would like to just compare, just download this system. No need to update. You can choose. And I think this is a very great features, right? Because they're why.
Yes, because as I said, we treat the whole system as a whole. So if your control system has 20 controllers, then 20 applications running on 20 different controllers, and this system does something as a whole, then we treat it as a whole. So you create a system with 20 applications, and then you can deploy it in one go because. And there are funnier things that you can do. For example, if you have the list of applications, you can actually drag some of the functionality from one application to another application.
Yes.
Or things like that. You can just move things around where things run. Because for us it doesn't matter. It's just configuration and connections.
Yeah.
Because the backplane connects all the applications into one whole.
Yeah, and all this stuff is just done by their IDE, but no need any different configurator or different software to do that. All is done by this IDE called CDP Studio. And not just for this type of development. For example, they analyze. They also provide very great. In my view, I also use their lifetime monitoring. Also a very great system. And could you explain a bit more about your how to analyze or test in your by using your runtime?
You mean the logger functionality and analyze mode?
Yes.
So yes, we have our own logger component that you can add to your system in some application. And there are different backends to the logger. So you could choose the logger to log to comma-separated file if you are really brave and don't have much data.
Yeah.
It is a use case for some. If you have low data bandwidth and you want a comma-separated file as a result. We have our own compact data store based on SQLite, which is catered for really fast logging, but also accessing data where you might look at really large windows in one go, like a month or 2 months of history. And this needs to work really fast because you don't want to wait half a minute for the view.
Yeah.
So this data format is tailored for really fast data retrieval, even for really large windows. Time windows spans over past history. And now we are also adding in the upcoming release timescale, and we have had influx for some time already. So there are different packages where you can choose to log. So it can be a actual proper SQL Postgres server in the case of timescale in the upcoming release, or a local SQLite database that has this fast compression, fast fetch format.
Okay, thank you. And you also have this HMI. So for HMI, I also think it's a very fantastic functions. You can have web features. I mean, you have the web server feature that can just enter the IP, the URL, that then you can access the HMI in a Chrome or Firefox. And also you can have a Windows application. For example, I built a application by using CDP runtime before in a Raspberry Pi. Then when the Raspberry Pi startup, they just directly to the CDP runtime, the HMI directly just display full screen on the Raspberry Pi. I would not say window based, it will be application based. Also have a web based. You have to have both, and all the task connections is very easy. You can just drop from your program or something, even to other runtime, right? You can drop all the variables from different runtime into one HMI. Is that correct? Is the understanding correct? Could you explain to me so many functions about that? What is the concept of the HMI?
So yes, our HMI. How to put it? So there are multiple options when you're making an HMI in Studio. First of all, you have the native UI, where we actually build a native binary for the specific target, and then it runs as a binary application and displays a UI. But you can also add a web UI view to this native application. Then the application will actually serve the same UI as a web UI. So you can use both the native application, but you can access the same interface through web also. So it's like a dual interface kind of. And then you can also just add only a web interface to some existing control applications. The way you design the HMI is the same in all cases. So there is a drag and drop. We have lots of widgets. You compose the user interface from existing widgets. In theory, you can make custom ones using C++ and QML. But mostly it's possible to compose really complex things from existing widgets, and having fun with themes and how you can actually theme existing widgets to show something than it actually is. For example, if you think about the slider that is a knob on a rail, we use the same concept, actually the same widget, to display a thruster control, which is visually just different, but in theory it's there is a rail of the thruster view and there is a position of where the thruster is. It's actually a slider, which is theme is different. So there are like displays widgets that are used multiple times for different tasks, just themed differently to do a different thing or present a different concept. And then these widgets can connect to basically any application in the system by just defining the path of the value that you want to display your control. And this goes through the same public API that we talked earlier. And this public API, of course, it supports login and security and access control, which you can configure. It's by default off to make the initial step developing easier, but you can add users, add access controls to users, rights, basically per structure unit and per value if it can be read or written or seen by that user group.
I get it. Okay, thank
And
you.
then you automatically get the login on the user interface when you have enabled the security.
Okay, so we talk about your IDE, we talk about your runtime. So, next question is, how can I start it? How can I start if I want to start use it?
What?
Well, if I want to start, you would like to try your technology. How can I start that? How can I start it?
It's really easy. You just go on our website and you can download a free trial. That is 30 days for everyone. You get the full functionality of the tool for 30 days. If you want it for non-commercial use, so hobby project, home improvement, whatever, then you can actually request a non-commercial license.
Just like
The caveat with the non-commercial license is that by default your applications will run for 1 hour and then you have to restart them. You can get free runtime licenses also, but we expect you to show us your project that you're doing. So put it up in GitHub, a public repository, show us what project you are doing that really wants to run for multiple hours. Like you have some home control system that you want to run, put it up somewhere, send us the link, we'll look at the code and give you a runtime for it for free.
I have a question.
So
Please. Yeah, just.
So then it will run basically forever. So for commercial customers, the runtimes are free and they basically will just get them as they license their applications.
So what do you mean that I just need a Windows PC or even a Raspberry Pi that I can start to use to try your solution?
Yes, yeah, basically.
And I have a question for your, I don't know, is that possible to say here, your business model? Because you told me that if I have a non-commercial license, it means after the project, I download to a controller, then I have 1 hour to let me to test it. But though it means that if I have using a commercial license, that means the runtime will be run forever, is it correct?
Yes, of course.
It depends on what? Depends on my PC or my controller. For example, I don't understand a bit about the license or how it works.
So basically the binary, the runtime that you deploy, it checks a local file system for a license file. If it doesn't find the license file, it will run for 1 hour and exit. You can start it up again. Then it will run again for 1 hour. If it doesn't see the license file in the system, it exits. So when you request the license and we grant you a runtime license and you click license in the IDE for the application, we deploy the license file next to the application in the license folder. So when then the application sees, there's a license, it checks if the license is valid for the hardware it's running on. And then it will not exit after 1 hour.
It means that
so there is a separate file.
In the ID, actually, I don't know if it's the ID or not. Actually, if my ID is a commercial license ID, that every time when I download the project to the runtime, actually a new license file will be refreshed inside your runtime. Is it something like this? A new license file will be also downloaded inside the runtime. Then the runtime always checking this license file. Is it correct? Is it correct or not?
Yes.
So does that mean that if I have one commercial license, so maybe in 1 month I can refresh unlimited device? Is it correct? Is something like this?
The runtime license is for that specific hardware where you licensed application, so it will run only on that machine.
Just for example, if my company only use CC100, so I can just if I am a developer, I can just buy a CC100 TubeKit license from CDP Technologies. For example, 1 month or 2 months, then I can refresh all my Wago CC100. Is that correct? Is that my concept correct?
So yes, so basically you have to, the minimum subscription time for the developer seat is 1 year. But basically, yes, if you buy the developer license and do your system and do as many Vago CC100s as you want during the year, then they will keep working afterwards, even if you don't have the license, of course.
Okay.
So the ID license is basically a developer-based license. So the license says that you can run the development environment.
So it means that
The runtimes are free, and you get the commercial customers can just get as many. There are no tag limits. There are no limits on how many applications you can create and license. It's just like one per developer seat license. It's a very simple model in reality.
Okay. So it means that after one runtime is installed in my device with a license, a commercial license. If I don't want it, I don't need to touch it. So I just keep it here. I don't need to.
Yes.
It's a very interesting business model for me. Okay, so we also talk about the license, and then have you a chance to let our listeners to see your solution?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I think Jüri needs some time to prepare that. So I will wait you. Anytime I will just talk something. Don't worry, just take your time. So as I mentioned before, come on. Okay, so I think all the people can see the screen. I'm sure you should. Yeah, it's a CDP Studio project. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, so the ID starts up quite snappily. It didn't take much time. This is the ID part of the system, and we do have like a project pane to create and open new projects. We have lots of example projects that you can open and view how they are made, and tutorials to go through. These are like step-by-step instructions how to create something specific. And these are like different modes that you can be in the ID. So this was the welcome mode. There is also code mode for coding. And this is the graphical development, the configure mode, which has multiple views. This is the no-code block diagram view where you can add blocks and connect things together depending on what you want to add. And also a table view.
Could you go back a little bit your block view? I find very interesting for your block. It can be event based, to be triggered by event or cyclic. You can choose, right? Because in PLC, actually all modes of PLC application is only run in cyclic. Just run it forever from start to end. And then I know there's some manufacturer PLC manufacturer, they also provide event based. For example, like Schneider. That's also why I asked a very strange question to Jüri, I think 2 years before. Is your system support IEC 61499 something? Do you remember that? Because it's
Yes.
very similar, the system, the concept.
Yes, it's actually inspired by the standard. So most of the default blocks have a running frequency that are based on components. So these are like tasks in PLC sense that they have their own thread and cyclic working frequency when it runs. And you can build cyclic control systems. There are lots of maybe familiar operators from PLC world in the automation library, like ANSOR,
PID
triggers, timers, PIDs, all sorts of. But then, as you mentioned, there is the sequencer library, which has a basic block, which is basically the basic function blocks from this 61499 standard, where you can do this ECC state machine, add operators here, connect them to be triggered, add conditions to the transitions, so you can build a state machine with transitions and logic to execute. And also, of course, input events and output events that would trigger then and only trigger the transition on the event, so you can build the state machines. And here, this by default is purely event-driven. So it's executed when it receives an event. But on extension to the standard, we also added the cyclic support here. So you could run it either if event comes or when the parent cycle arrives. So it will, you can build cyclic state machines also because you already have a very nice state machine editor. So why not allow building state machines the same way?
Okay, thank you. So this is why I need to mention here. And the listener, so many listener, if they playing PLC, they will know there's only know the use the PLC as a cyclic only. So I would like to show them that CDP technology, their runtime, also provide a event-based or even both. Yeah. Okay. So please continue to show me your
Yes.
project.
So I will do something really quick to show a no-code. So I will add a sign generator and a add operator, and I will connect this up and add a constant value to it. So basically the adder adds the sign output with a constant value, and basically then you can run and connect. This by default builds for the toolkit that I have selected for the application. I have an 80 toolkit. I have only one development in addition that I have installed. But now the application is actually running. So it's connected and running, and you can see the live values. And you can go and add this to a plot, and you can go to the analyze mode that is for the plotting, and you can see the live value being plotted for the sign out. Then you can change, for example, the running frequency of the sine component to 5 Hz instead of 100, and then you can see that it runs slower and produces a value 5 times a second.
I would like to mention one point here. All this, for example, you see Jüri, he changed the block frequency to be a little bit slow, right? And you no need to provide a download operation or something. You see what he do? He just go to the field, the input field to enter a new value. Because you know in the PLC work, it's very painful. We need to go to the online edit mode. We need to edit a new value. We need to go on download again, and you no need to do any in CD in their IDE.
Yes, and for like simple things like scaling inputs on I/O and things, all the operators that we have can be added during runtime also. For example, if you want to do something in addition to what we are doing here, like add another one to this output, then you can basically build logic also during the running application. This is typically used for adjusting the I/O with scaling and things like that, or inverting something that's wrong. You immediately see what's going on, so you see what's going to happen.
It's very great. No need to go online, edit, and then download. It's very great application. And you see the Jüri show us the pop, the analyzing view. The pop is very smooth, and that's why I think they're analyzing and testing it very grateful. Yeah. And
yes.
I think you also have a new features released on last year is the AI assistant, right, for the IDE.
Yes. And when you stop it, you see actually what you did during the online. So we added an add operator and changed the frequency from 100 to 5. So you can apply these changes to your offline version also. So there are two basically versions of it running, your project and what you have deployed. So you can see changes both ways. When you deploy, you can see changes, and when you stop, you can see changes if there are any. But yeah, there is this.
We don't need to stop the runtime to make the change.
So for some changes, yes, like adding operators and configuration of values, those you can do just during runtime, and then you see what you did.
Okay. Oh, please continue.
Like speed tuning.
Okay.
Yes. So and since last year we have had this AI assist that can help you with different tasks. You can ask it about blocks documentation. We do have pretty good documentation in general, so you can always select anything and press F1, and you will get the documentation of that specific block. But you can always ask from the AI assistant, what should I use to achieve something, because it sees all the resources in the project, even your own resources if they're documented, and can tell you if any of those are suitable for what you want to do. And you get the help links to open and and read about what it found.
I feel like they are AI assistant because I I would say that the CDP technology, their documentation is too detailed for me.
It's easy to ask, yes. It's better to ask.
Yeah. And actually sometimes it's very difficult for me to just find, for example, how to configure a Modbus. And this time I just ask the AI assistant tell me how to configure a Modbus. And then sometimes I say, hey, I cannot find it. Could you help me check it? Then he will actually help me check it. And I would say your documentation is very great, but sometimes it's too tough for me. It's too long. It's too detailed.
Yeah. And it can also do it itself, so it can do tasks, configuring things for you. So you can ask it to implement some simpler logic or configure something for you, and it is also capable of doing that because it can use all the resources and see your project. And if you allow the editing, then it can edit your project also.
You cannot just ask, you can also edit. You can also enable edit options. So could you show me also, I know that you at one time you also program in C++ or something. Could you show me the screen or some?
Yes. So I will add some base block for example, so we do a code generation template. So you get the template for the class that you are developing. And components and also operators typically have a process function, which is this slice of real time that actually gets executed with the frequency that you're running at. And the components can also have state machines and multiple process functions. So you can build a state machine and it can execute a different process function depending on in which state it is. But the cool part that we have added now is you can also, in upcoming version, ask AI assistant for coding. So, for example, you can add signals into a component for real-time values. And sometimes also, for example, in component, users can add signals to the component during configuration. And you might not know, for example, okay, how do I go through all the signals that the component has? Because I want to do something dynamic. Then you can ask over all signals and print their names. And you can say either ask a question or do an edit. And when you do an edit, it starts a new assistant chat with the task. And what it will do, it will look at the API, look at the documentation, look at the headers, and then see how to achieve this in CDP specifically and implement this. But it will not change your code. It will do you basically a pull request, a diff view of the new code, so you can see what it will change in the code. And then you can comment on it if you want, and you have to decide if you want to accept the change or you want to decline the change that it proposed for you.
I get it. You can directly to ask the AI to help to program in the C++ editor also. Okay, so could you show me the HMI also? The HMI editor.
So basically when we add a new HMI application, so we would do a new application, console, HI. So there is also a possibility to add a new WebView application directly or a simulator. But we'll do a UI, finish, and you get a new native UI application. In meantime, the AI assist finished, so you can click here to go and view the pull request that it did. And if you are happy with this code, then you can apply the changes, and then it will apply this to the code, and you have a code that iterates over all the signals in the component and prints out their names.
Okay, I get it.
So you can have multiple parallel tasks running if you want, and you will get the same pop-up for each one when it completes. And it will take you back where you were in the chat and into the correct chat, because you can have multiple chats going on in parallel.
So you can edit multiple chat in just one IDE.
Yeah, there is a side panel that actually shows you all the chats that you have had.
Because I know there's so many of engineer tubes, they also implement their AI chat, but just for one chat.
Yes, you can have parallel tasks in different places running.
Here is that HMI.
And this is the HMI editor. And I'll do something really simple, maybe drag in a meter widget, which is for displaying a gauge, and add a layout to make it always fit the screen size, whatever the size is. And best is probably to connect it to some data. So all widgets have different routing properties that you can connect. So typically the CDP routing itself is for the value. So you would auto-complete it from here. You can do a completer here, or you can actually go into the control system and copy the specific value that you want to copy path of the value, go back to the designer and paste it here. And now it's bound to the value in the control system. But the sign value I know is between -1 and 1, and the meter is between 0 and 100. So you might want to scale it locally, the value up, for example, by 100, and we probably need to adjust the minimum value of the meter. So the widgets are configurable. You can have alarm zones, warning zones. You can change how the meter looks and how it renders. And if it has precision after the comma or not, then basically everything is configurable, including themes. You can change themes. So
different types.
And you can make your own. You can make your own themes.
Okay.
And now basically it's done. This is bound to a meter in a other application, which is the UI, and you have two applications, and I will make them both native applications. And if
You mean now my OS is running two applications in the same, running two applications in the same OS and the same.
Yes. So it basically built two application binaries and started them up, and then the UI connected to the control system, and it's now displaying the scaled output value from here.
So it depends on if my PC is powerful enough that I can develop different couples of applications in just one PC. I no need to buy other PC for that, or for some special pressure, is it correct?
Yes. So for example, if you look at the CPU load, one is all of the CPU. On my machine, the UI application takes something below 1%, below fraction of a percent, maybe a tenth. I don't know. It's a fraction of a 1%, basically. Yes.
Okay.
So it doesn't take much in reality, but this is of course a laptop, so it's a proper Intel processor. Yeah.
Power PC. Okay. Okay. So I think all the listeners, they see what this CDP Studio is and why I like this system. I like this software. I really like this tube. I tried so many different types of to some Siemens or Codis or something. I think this tube is very fantastic. All the PLC manufacturer, they also need to see this solution. And Jüri, I would like to ask you that so many PLC manufacturer is listening our video. Yeah, so they always finding is there any great solution that is in the world. Okay, so thanks. And now I would like to ask you finally two questions. The first one, could you tell me your roadmap of this in this year of the CDP technology, the roadmap? What kind of new products may release in this year?
So yeah, actually we do have a release very, very soon. We are in release testing, so in a couple of next weeks, hopefully there will be a release. And Code Assistant is a new thing that you saw. We have added a better redundancy support for HMIs. So HMI now basically, because our redundancy works so that you just add a synchronizer and clone the application, and then basically you have it in simplest terms. But then you can also now just create a UI and route to the main application, and the UI will show where the leader is, regardless which application is running. So this needed to be multiplexed and manual a bit in the setup in the UI before, but this will be automatic. We are adding a whole new cool metrics system. This is a whole new video probably because it would allow you basically to tag data with the small key value pair tags and then define how you want to for example, some counters or lifetime measurements or statistics about your system to be collected. And you define these recipes. This is based on the tags, and it will automatically find all the tags in the system and instantiate for all the motors, for example, the lifetime tracking for that motor and persist the data counters on the controller. So this is kind of...
you mean this year?
Yes, no, actually next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we should download your new SCP new version to try these new features. And I'd like to tell again, it's free. You no need to spend, for example, $200 to buy the software license for just to try it. And please try it. It's really a great platform. Then you know that's the other solution, not like just PLC. Okay, so I think we speak more than 1 hour. So final questions. Do you have something that you would like to say to the Japanese listener?
Yes, I have like this ancient curse that Terry Pratchett used quite a bit, which is very apt at the current moment, I think, in the world, is may you live in interesting times. Because for sure, the times at the moment are really interesting, and the way we work and how systems are built is changing rapidly. So it's just keep up with what is going on. And I think I hope that we are well positioned to keep the AI on rails. So vibe coding systems is one thing, but vibe coding on a framework that actually allows you to understand and see and have a visual overview of what the system actually does is even more important now, because having a solution that nobody understands, I think, is bad in reality.
Yeah.
But having some sort of a framework or rails to keep the AI sane and having still structure in systems and being able to understand things and what's going on is so important. So
yeah, and all
I
the
think that is the
Japanese listeners,
takeaway.
just please, if you're interested, please try it. And don't worry, in my blog I have Japanese tutorial that can help you to how to figure it out. And finally, just let me to say something to Jüri. And first of all, I think that I'm very happy that I made connections with you, really, and very thanks for you at that time to comment to me to let me to know there's a solution. It's a fully hardware independency, and this is what my thinking. But now in LinkedIn, that I always see so many posts that they're talking about software, they talk about hardware independency, and all this time, what I first imagine is CDP technology. The first solution that I thought is really hardware independency, and they provide different types of solutions, types of ways allow you to implement what you want to do. For example, for me, I'm a PLC guy, so I use mostly for the block diagram. And for some guys, they use C++. It depends on what they can do. And this is a concept for me, because it's like the people who said, hey, if you want to now use the generation for ST, no people use ladder, it's an old school something. And what CP provides you is really you can use old school stuff like traditional graphic, FBD or something. You can use C++ if you can do that. It's really a solution that provide so many ways to go to goal, to reach the goal. Just choose something you are comfortable. They provide a couple ways for you, and they upgrade their CDP technology. For me, they are updating all the software very fast. They update around 1 year, 1 or 2 times. Is that correct? Something.
Yeah, the platform usually comes out once a year, and the IDE updates usually more often, like maybe twice a year or something like that.
Yes, and as you will not see this frequency in the big PLC manufacturer, and even they're free. They're no even free. You can try. You can just try. You can 1 hour to test what you want, and then if you think this fits for you, they can talk the price to. I will not talk the price to in this video. I know the price, but I will not talk. I will not do it. I will not mention it here. So I really that if the Japan anything would like to try, they would like to know what is software dependency, what is some special, some other type to for the factory automations, or for just for locking the system data locking, for analyzing. You should try the CDP start the technology. Just try the runtime. You try their editor. You try their HMI. That's what I do. Say.
Yes, and I wanted to say thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
That was really, really great to participate in this.
Yeah. Okay, so I think now in here, I think it's now in Japan around 11 o'clock p.m. And I think now Jüri is now still in PM. I think after they will take coffee, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to end this video. So thanks for Jüri from CDP Technology. So I hope you have a good time in this year also. I just keep context, okay? Okay, so
Bye.
thanks for every listener. Thank you. Bye bye.